Like, I mean, first of all, we're probably not going to get a movie from the X-Men for another couple of years at least.
Oh, we're not gonna. I guarantee, like, X-Men is gone for a good, probably close to a decade. We might see Wolverine pop up somewhere, like a new Wolverine.
I think Deadpool's the only one that's going to come up in the next 5 years.
Yeah,
and then I believe that's the last Deadpool movie.
I kind of feel like Deadpool's probably going to flip over to the MCU during. I wouldn't be surprised if Ryan Reynolds has a cameo in Doctor Strange. Well, if he's going to open the keys to the multiverse for Spider-Man, it makes sense for him to bring over any Fox people that they want.
How do we know that he's opening up the keys for the multiverse for Spider-Man? We don't.
We don't. But with Jamie Foxx being there, and I just read, I don't know if I should tell you because you might think it's a spoiler. You might get angry about it. Screw it. Okay. Well, while they were doing site work for Spider-Man 3, Alfred Molina was on site.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Read that? Okay.
Okay, but like, who saw him on site? Was there pictures of him on site?
As far as I know.
Or is this more he said, she said stuff?
It's that.
Oh, okay. All right. And also, could a guy just show up? Could he just show up and hang out for a bit? Doesn't necessarily mean he's in the fucking movie.
During COVID, I don't think so.
Come on now. It's different for celebrities.
You're probably there.
It's different for celebrities. You know that. Here's the thing. Here's my official stance on Spider-Man 3. If this ends up being a live action Into the Spider-Verse, I'm not going to be happy. I'm really not going to be happy because this is like the point in the franchise where we could actually have Tom Holland's Spider-Man stand on his own, but instead the fans are going like, oh, well, Tom Holland has got to join up with Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire and the voice actor from Miles Morales. Like, no, let him be in his own movie. Let him stand on his own 2 feet. I don't agree with the casting of Jamie Foxx as Electro. Yeah. I don't agree with that at all. I'm really, really hoping that that's phony stunt casting.
Well, I mean, we'll see. I feel like they probably are going to do the Spider-Verse.
Why?
I think it's just going to be. Well, I mean, both of those series don't actually have endings, so I think it's going to wrap up both those Spidey stories. And then Holland signed on for what?
Yeah, but you're saying this like a smile on your face, like, yeah, Spider-Man 3 was an actual ending for Spider-Man. For Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, that was an ending.
It didn't feel like an ending. It felt like there was a fourth there for sure to finish the story.
No, it feels like a fourth because we know that there was supposed to be a fourth. We know that. But when you rewatch this and you don't think about the possibilities of Raimi's Vulture and Bruce Campbell's Mysterio, it feels like an ending for a superhero movie. It's not like The Dark Knight or The Dark Knight Rises, where that's an ending for Bruce Wayne, but it's not an ending for Batman. That was an ending for a character that was going to continue fighting the good fight.
I got to ask you a question, buddy. While we're on the topic of Spider-Man 4.
Yeah.
Okay. Today I read a question. This woman put a poll up on Twitter. She wrote, if only one movie or TV show could ever get to be made, which would you choose out of these? The Batfleck Deathstroke movie, an Alita sequel, Spider-Man 4, or Daredevil Season 4? What would you choose?
Ooh, that's really good. That's a really good question.
One. It's a really tough one. I really thought about it.
You know what? I would actually, off the top of my head, it's a pretty close tie between Battle Angel 2 and Daredevil Season 4.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, Daredevil Season 4 would be the one for me.
Yeah?
That'd be the one for me. Yep.
That's the one. Okay.
And I'll tell you why. Before you tell me yours. I'll tell you why. So, because of how congested Spider-Man 3 was, Okay? This was the most studio interfered Spider-Man movie to that point. Okay? If that movie, you know, if it was critically acclaimed as much as the first two were, and Raimi could actually work within this new corporate overlord structure, Spider-Man 4 would have been the more of the same of Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man 3 is not a terrible movie by any means, but there was too much going on that it was hard to really latch onto something really good.
Yeah.
Right? Like I
100%.
can cite Sandman's characterization I thought was really good. I really liked that. The problem with it, though, is it's kind of similar to Dr. Octopus in the sense that they're both tragic villains that don't really want to be villains, but they're villains of circumstance type of thing. It's a little bit more choice-driven for Sandman than it is Dr. Octopus because the arms are controlling him for the most part. But still, that's kind of similar. But either way, plus the cinematography and the CGI for Sandman was incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible. But then you have the side plot with the symbiote suit. Then you have the other side plot with Eddie Brock. Then you have the other side plot with Gwen Stacy. The other side plot with Harry Osborn. You see, I mean, like, so because there was all that going on, as much as we want to think Spider-Man 4 would have been a return to form like Spider-Man 2 or even Spider-Man 1, I don't think it would be. I think it would have been studio interference even more so than the third, and the movie would have suffered just like Spider-Man 3 suffered. Okay?
Okay.
All right. What was the second one?
Second one was Daredevil season 4.
No, there was Spider-Man 3 or
Oh,
4.
okay. The Batfleck Deathstroke movie.
So the Batfleck Deathstroke movie, only because of the shit that happened with Justice League, and then Snyder got boosted, right? So for them to do it with probably Joss Whedon, I don't care. Like Deathstroke looks so awesome, awesome, and that Joe Manganiello I think would have been ridiculously good. It's because Justice League was the way it was. It didn't make me go, okay, all right, the rest of this universe is in really good hands, right? Like, yes, Wonder Woman was amazing. And yes, Aquaman was way better than I thought it was ever going to be. No one could have told me I was going to like it as much as I did. But you also got Shazam, right?
Yeah.
So because they're still hit or miss, and there's no real one person that's saying, okay, look, this is how we're going to do things, and this is going to slot in here, this is going to slot in here. They were literally just like, throw everything. And then it's like, Flash is going to be multiverse. No, he's not going to be multiverse. Yes, he is, you know? Yeah. So that's a lot of the stuff on paper, yeah, it would be great to see. But in practicality, like in application, I don't think it would have been as good. Our previous Camcast dealing with Battle Angel, everybody that watched that Camcast knows that both of us desperately want a sequel.
Yeah.
But I honestly feel like the sequel is going to happen before we get a Daredevil season 4. So that's why I want Daredevil season 4. I want that so badly, to have like a full season of Daredevil in his Daredevil costume, maybe a little bit tweaked a bit because of course he has to, because, you know, Melvin Potts is dead, or Potter. Yeah, Potter is dead now. So he would have had to figure out some other way to make the suit. But either way, and then a full-on like one season of war with Bullseye. And Bullseye's got like a Netflix-style costume. Get the fuck out of here. All black, like literally all black, with just one like white Bullseye. That's it. One white little Bullseye. That's all he needs. So yeah, that's exactly why I feel season 4. Okay, what's your pick?
My pick is I'll just run through it. I feel like Batfleck never really got a proper chance to shine. He really didn't. I feel like it was taken away from him right when it was getting there.
No, wasn't Batman v Superman supposed to be a Superman sequel, and then Batman showed up
Yeah,
and
Batman
dominated
but
for like 70% of the movie? The
but
Superman sequel is now
shared the screen. He shared the screen. I shut up while you were doing yours. I shut up while you were doing yours.
That's fair. That's fair. You're right. You're right.
But he had to share with the Trinity. He had to share with the Trinity there, and then he had to share with Justice League. He never got any time on his own, really. And visually and everything else, I thought he was a wicked, awesome live action Batman. But I feel like he is going to get more of a proper send off now with Zack Snyder's Justice League coming out. To the point where it could either go on, we could get a Batfleck HBO Max series maybe, or we'll be happy of where it's left off with them. So not that one. Not that one for that reason. I love Daredevil. I absolutely love Daredevil, but I feel very strongly, and now the rights just came over this week, like just switched over to Marvel this week. I feel like we are still going to see Daredevil. We're not going to see season 4, but I think we are going to see Charlie Cox back. I do. And I think it's going to be in Spider-Man 3 as Peter's lawyer. I do. So I think whether it's the proper season 4 that we want or not, we are going to see him again. And it's the same thing with Spidey 4. I feel like we're going to see Toby again too. So, and Spider-Man 4 is so far removed now too. I've gotten over it now that's never ever ever happening. So I'm okay with that never happening. I got to go with Alita. It's an amazing film. It's underrated. It needs more love. Even if it was successful, it's not successful in the Disney sense of being successful. So
it's hilarious because they look at it and they go, "Oh, this franchise didn't make $1 billion."
Yeah, I know.
The only franchises that they have that make $1 billion is literally, what is it? Well, Disney, or no, sorry, Star Wars.
Yeah.
But that's slowly starting. That's becoming less of a guaranteed hit now.
Well,
because
Solo pretty much killed that.
Yeah.
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 Really,
but they're looking at it like, if this doesn't make $1 billion, then we don't bother doing it.
Yeah.
When they can still generate revenue at the $700-800 million mark, which is still crazy. You know, like,
I mean, it made almost 500 mil worldwide. That's double of what Solo made, a Star Wars movie. So, yeah. And it's Alita. Not a lot of people outside crazy geeks and nerds like us know who that is.
Exactly. Like, just like, and it's mostly like just anime kids.
Yeah.
Because I find that there's not as much crossover with like anime and comic books as people would think.
Mm-hmm.
People on the outside, they would look at it and it's all the same shit. And then, of course, guys like us are like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
No, because even like in anime, you could like some anime and not like all of it.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
I'm really apprehensive about Spider-Man 3. I really am. We're getting a Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse sequel. So we're getting a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
Why isn't that not good enough? Why do we and also, like, okay, yes, Andrew Garfield didn't get a send-off in any real sense of the word. Even though Tobey Maguire did. He totally did. I know you don't agree, but he totally did. And also, I gotta ask, what is with the send-off stuff?
The send-off stuff.
What's so special about the send-off stuff?
Because, I mean...
Why do they need a send-off?
I feel like, I don't know, man. I feel like if you love something and you invest time and your heart into loving that thing, and then a studio pulls away the conclusion that you and the character deserve, it's just a royal kick to the fucking nuts.
But we're talking about comic books that have been serialized since like the 40s.
Yeah,
since the late 30s. It's a never-ending battle against, like for truth and justice, right?
Let me ask you a question.
If there's no ending in the comic books, why does there have to be an ending in the movies?
But
James Bond has never had an ending. We've had several. Let me finish. We've had several actors come in. We've had several reboots, soft reboots, hard reboots, but it's the same character all the way through. They don't go, well, it's a new James Bond, so this James Bond dies, and then that's it. He gets a send-off, right? Like, I mean, I'll give you that with Spider-Man, it was the Raimi trilogy. Then there was the web duology, I guess, right?
I guess,
and they're clear reboots all the way through. An MCU Spider-Man, they're clear reboots of the character, and they're Peter Parker Spider-Man, but there's slight differences to each of them, right? So, I mean, I'll give you that they're purposely saying these are different characters, but, I mean, it's like you read one arc written by Jeff Loeb and drawn by Jim Lee of Batman, right? At the end of that arc, was there a send-off? Did they say, well, this Batman is done now. Let's bring in the new team.
There's a difference with the ongoing comic books, though. This is my thing, okay. This is my thing. Your thing with James Bond. James Bond is a book series. Every book is a different story with the same character, and that's how they make the movies go and continue. They never really continue into each other. It's always the same revolving cast. They're there, and you're following the cast more than the story itself.
Except for the Daniel Craig stuff.
Except for the Daniel Craig stuff. Yeah, they continue, but I feel like when James Bond continues with a new actor, it's not going to feel like a relaunch, as more or less just a new actor came in and kept the story going.
Okay.
We'll see how that plays out. We'll see how
that's fair. That's fair.
With ongoing
I don't
comics,
necessarily agree, but
yeah, with ongoings, you have the feeling that they're just, they're going to go on forever, right? Unless it's a story like Invincible, where it's an indie thing, and eventually it's going to have that ending, and they'll work towards that ending and give you the ending, right? You got to send off with Invincible. You get to send off with all your favorite TV shows that aren't canceled, and it feels good. Sometimes not so good, but at the end of the day, you still got a conclusion. I look at the movies, the superhero movies, as more as like miniseries, okay? Say you're reading Ultimate Spider-Man, and right before the Sinister Six arc, where Peter died, the book got canceled, you never got the end. You had no idea what happened to Peter or anything. You'd be pretty fucking pissed, man, right? You'd be bummed. Now, 12, 15, 20 years later, they go, hey, we're doing an Ultimate Spider-Man miniseries. It's going to conclude the thing. You're going to be like, yes, it's amazing.
I mean,
that's how I feel about the movies. I look at it in that sense, that I don't feel like, Toby got a better ending than Garfield. That's for sure. I mean, 100%.
Yeah, like to 100%. be fair, I mean, out of all of them, Garfield has gotten the worst. Got the worst of it.
Hard.
Actually, no. You know what? I'd have to say Affleck. Affleck got it pretty bad too.
Yeah,
they both got it pretty bad because, like, at least Garfield got 2 movies out of it. Garfield is a Spider-Man fan, so this wasn't like Josh Hartnett, where they was just like, I'm not going to do any of these superhero movies because I don't want to be typecast. He was like a fucking Spider-Man, like he's like Tom Holland, same thing. Like, I'm fucking Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And he was prepared to be Spider-Man for the long haul, right? I get your side of it. I understand where you're coming from. And like I said, I kind of gave you an out because the studios tell you that these are different versions of the same character. So they are telling you that, if you love those movies, great. That's awesome. These new movies are going to be even better. So everything that you love about those movies, you'll love in this. Plus, it'll be different. It'll be grittier and edgier. Spider-Man will never be in the daytime. The worst part about the whole thing with Garfield, though, is that you had a better Spider-Man in Amazing Spider-Man 2. Not just visually, but also, like, Spider-Man as a character was better. he also had like Mark Webb. My issues with those movies is that I feel like, okay, so when I said Spider-Man 4 would have been like heavily studio influenced, with Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, you can tell it's studio influence.
Oh, big time.
And one of the reasons why Sam Raimi couldn't work with them anymore was because they kept saying, hey, you got to do this, this, and this. And Sam was like, no, like, why? Why am I doing all this? This doesn't make any sense. So there was pushback, and eventually, because he's not really that confrontational, he's just like, you know what? I'm not going to be able to do the movie in the time frame that you want me to, so I'm going to have to just bow out, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't too long after that Amazing Spider-Man was made.
I'm pretty sure they announced the cancellation of Spider-Man 4 and the announcement of Amazing Spider-Man the same year.
Yeah.
I feel like it was pretty close to being.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I'm saying this as a guy that's like, I keep saying I just want that one perfect Superman movie with Henry Cavill. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily looking for a send off. I'm just saying I want that one, like that movie that is Superman, that feels like Superman, and with Henry Cavill, because I feel like visually he is the best looking Superman. Like I love Christopher Reeve, Superman. Like I love him. Grew up with him. So much so that even when Gary Frank drew Superman with Jeff Johns, and he drew him as Christopher Reeves, I at no point in time was I like, oh, why? I was like, yeah, that's great. That's so great. But I don't necessarily need a send off so much, but I would like one perfect movie. And that's kind of where I'm getting at with Spider-Man 3. I mean, first of all, is this a 6-hour long movie? Because you're saying that there'll be send-offs. You're making it sound like there's send-offs for Tobey's Spider-Man, for Garfield's Spider-Man, right? So that's 2 characters that'll have send-offs, okay? Can you honestly tell me that Tom Holland's Spider-Man is not going to be overshadowed by either of them?
I can't. I mean, I can't. I don't know how it would play out. But
right?
It could play out that they pop in during the last half hour kind of thing,
But again,
or
that's a thunder-stealing move right there.
Yeah.
Watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That's the Vulture right there.
The Vulture.
Swoops in, takes all the credit, and leaves him with all the shit. Like, that's, like, my main thing is like, I talk about being a huge Superman fan, but I'm also a really huge Spider-Man fan. And, like, it really is almost neck and neck with those two. I would say, like, it's probably Superman, Nightwing, and Spider-Man all just competing for that top spot, But, I mean, you yourself said the 2 things you hated the most about the last 2 Spider-Man movies is how much Tony Stark is there.
Yes.
But now you're like, yay, more people to overshadow Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Yay! We got Doctor Strange. We got Doctor Strange. We got 3 different versions of Spider-Man. We've got another version of Electro. Alfred Molina is going to come back as Dr. Octopus for sure, 100%, because Bleeding Cool said so. And this movie's still going to be, what, 2 hours?
No, it could be 2.5. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I see. Okay, so the last Spider-Man, we're so off New Mutants now. So
because there'll be 2 weeks in between, right? So you need content to keep us going in between.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, I'm totally for. I'm totally supporting your comic book stuff. I will bust your nuts about it, but I totally support it.
Thanks, buddy. The last Spider-Man ended with the reveal that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, right? So having another Spider-Man come in now and swing around the city would give Peter a scapegoat saying, see, it's not me.
Yeah, but I mean, you have Doctor Strange, who's for lack of a better word, a magician. He could just make stuff up. He could just conjure up images of You know, there's way like in the world that they live in, it's
Yeah.
a lot easier to believe that he's Spider-Man than it is to not. Once it's out there,
Yeah.
because anybody could say, "Well, yeah," but like, uh, well, for one thing, you could track his history. Why was he in Berlin? Why was Peter Parker on a plane with Tony Stark in Berlin? The same place that Iron Man, who everybody knows is Tony Stark, showed up to fight Captain America, and Spider-Man was there. You know what I mean? They make a point of it in the two movies too, where they say like, I can't keep being seen here with my like my classmates, and also Spider-Man. People are going to figure it out.
Yeah.
It's not as easy to sit there and get out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I do like that your thought process is, well, now we'll have a different Spider-Man swinging around, right?
Mhm.
But my argument then will be, okay, but for all the video footage that you have of Tom Holland's Spider-Man, which there'll be lots, you could literally shoot that apart in 2 seconds where you go, okay, so that's Tom Holland's Spider-Man. How come he's like a foot shorter than this Spider-Man? Or how come he is nowhere near as built as this Spider-Man?
Yeah.
And the costumes are considerably different. I don't understand. I mean, sure, I guess he might not be Spider-Man, but he probably is.
Well, we'll see how it plays out.
This is how bitter I am. I'm like, I honestly don't want to hear about any more news
You know
about
what?
Spider-Man 3.
I understand your bitterness though, because you're passionate about it, and I get that. That's how I was when the whole fucking all the X-Men stuff happened with Fox being sold to Disney. Like I was bitter. I'm still bitter. Like
I'm bitter too.
I'm forever going to be
especially
bitter
after New
about it.
Mutants.
Yeah.
They would have just left it at Dark Phoenix. I would have been like, it's a shitty way to end off the franchise, but I mean, fine. I don't want to watch this anymore anyway. Whereas this one, I was like, we can't get like New Mutants 2, like one more. Then they could have a send off. Yeah, that's right. That's right. You and your send offs, though, I gotta say, it's fucking, it's crazy, is what it is.
I don't know, man. I like I said, when I invest my time and my love into something, I hate not having a proper conclusion to it.
Why does there have to be goodbyes?
The amount of shows that I've watched that have been canceled without endings, it infuriates me. It infuriates me.
You need to practice Tai Chi and meditate.
I need to do some Tai Chi. Yes.
You need to relax a bit more because, these things, in the grand scheme of things, I'm about to say they don't matter, but they do. they matter.
No, you're 100. No, they don't really matter. I mean, none of this really matters at the end of the day. But
they matter to us, though.
They matter to us.
They really do. Like that's the thing. They really do. But like even like Daredevil. Okay, so you're saying that we'll see Daredevil in some way, shape, or form. I do believe that.
I think so. I mean,
I don't know necessarily that it's still going to be Charlie Cox, though. I would love it if it was, but I don't know necessarily that it is going to be Charlie Cox. It's the only thing, though.
I'm going to hope it's Charlie Cox, but
here's kind of if they do if they do a 4th season, then yes, get Charlie Cox, get everyone that was involved, sign them up again, and then either finish it off and give him sort of like it's an ending, but it's not because he's always going to be Daredevil type of thing. But if they're going to just have him do movies, like I know that the rumor is that he's going to be defending Peter Parker in a legal case because he's Spider-Man or he's been outed as Spider-Man, then I would say recast him.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to look at it like that's Netflix Daredevil right there, but he's not really Netflix Daredevil.
But what about Vincent D'Onofrio? Like, I feel like you got to keep him as Kingpin. I feel like if I had to pick one of the two, I would pick him to stay. If they could bring back JJ, I mean, come on.
See, now I wish they didn't bring back J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
Because now everyone is just like, let's bring back everybody. Let's recast Jamie Foxx's Electro.
Yeah. Out of all 5 Spider-Man movies prior to the MCU, it was Jamie Foxx's Electro we needed more of.
Yeah. And not only that, like it's visually, he looked awesome.
Oh yeah.
That was it. that was
it.
The only thing.
He had the Riddler's backstory from Batman Forever.
Oh God. It was worse. It was a worse written, like even poorly written version of Edward Nygma's story from Batman Forever.
Yeah.
Which was shitty. It was a shitty backstory for him too.
Yeah.
But at least when he became the Riddler, then he was like cool and suave and almost like a dark mirror of Bruce Wayne. Electro fell into a vat of eels.
That right there. Nothing's more badass than that.
I mean, like I said, he looked cool.
Fell into a vat of eels.
But I guess that's kind of like coming back to this whole like closure thing. Because like, did you watch Amazing Spider-Man 2 and at the end go, you know what? We could have had way more Electro. I feel like there's not enough done with Electro.
Not once.
No. It was over. And then before you could even register that it was over, he had to fight Harry Goblin.
Yeah. Yeah. That was forced. Oh.
But again, like going back to my previous point with Spider-Man 4, like if you think Spider-Man 3, studio interference, Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, both studio interference.
Yeah.
Especially Spider-Man 2. Like Spider-Man 1, I feel like they were like, okay, Mark, we want you to write this script. The things that we have highlighted have to be in this script. The other stuff that's underlined, you can tweak it a little bit, but ultimately it's got to be in this one. Whereas in Spider-Man 2 or Amazing Spider-Man 2, because of how well and not so well that Amazing Spider-Man was received, then they were like, oh, fuck. Okay, give him the stereotypical comic costume. Let's do that. Let's make his Spider-Man maybe not so much a dick, a little bit more lighthearted and quippy. Let's still do that weirdo creeper on again, off again relationship with Gwen Stacy. Let's dial that up for some reason. I don't know why. Let's get Electro in there and let's introduce Harry Goblin. Oh, and Rhino. Let's talk up Rhino.
Yeah, Rhino.
Like he's a big fucking deal in the movie. And then we're going to show you exactly how long he's in the movie in the trailer.
He's in the trailers. You're like, oh, Rhino. And he shows up at the very end of the movie.
Both versions of him is in the trailer.
Yeah.
And you want closure for that character. Get the fuck out of here. So that was a Spider-Man maxi rant. Nothing mini about that one.
No, that was a full-blown rant.
There'll be more rants coming up. I can't help it. I enjoyed
that conversation.
Well, okay, but answer me this. If we're getting into the Spider-Verse 2, what do we need a live-action Spider-Verse for? Oh, yeah, closure. Sorry.
The only thing I could think of is that it leads to a live-action Miles.
Okay, but again, here's the other part, too, with Miles. I like the character Miles Morales. I loved the way he was introduced in Ultimate Spider-Man. And then I loved how he took over. And everything about the character is awesome. Okay. Mm-hmm. The only way that I feel that he really works is when he's the only Spider-Man, though. Okay. And we have yet to really get a definitive spot for Tom Holland's Spider-Man that to immediately start bringing in Miles. It's like, I can't help but feel like one is going to get more overshadowed than the other. I'm not saying we shouldn't get a live action Miles, But the way I look at it is like we're potentially 3 more movies of Tom Holland Spider-Man potentially.
Yeah, how many more does he sign on for? He signed on for what, a trilogy, and then he re-signed for another trilogy. Is that correct? So 6 altogether.
As far as I can recall, it was the original trilogy.
Yeah.
And then 3 Marvel movies.
Okay.
Right.
Right.
So it's Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3. Right.
Right. Both Avengers.
That's his Sony deal. And then it's Avengers Endgame or Infinity War Endgame and
Civil War.
That's right. So he's renegotiated for one more appearance in the MCU and I feel like one more full-length movie. So he might only be there for 4.
2, okay. I thought for some reason it was another 3 solo movies.
You know what?
After the third.
I hold on a second. I feel like you're right, but I can't say for certain.
Because that would give. Then I would say it's too soon to bring in Miles, because then he should definitely get 2 movies away from Tony to stand on his own. Maybe introduce Miles in a 5th, training him and stuff, and then Miles goes full blown with him in the 6th. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That I think would be a little less rushed. But I feel like we're at least going to have Tom Holland for at least a couple more phases, like 4 and 5 for sure. Well, we have to. I mean, he doesn't. There's no Avengers at all on the agenda for at least 3 phases, I think.
Well, apparently July 13th. It looks like he's potentially locked down for 3 more movies.
And does it say if that's 3 solos or 3 appearances or?
It looks like he's in talks for 6 more films in the MCU. So 3 standalone, and then 3, essentially 3 Avengers movies.
Okay. So he's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Oh! I'm getting weird here.
You're strobing.
That's weird.
We got Predator vision going on.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Hey.
Okay. All right. So I'm with you. If he's got 3 more movies, 3 more standalone movies left, then that would be the perfect time to bring in Miles.
Yeah.
Like
somewhere around the 5th.
You could even potentially do the death of Peter Parker to bring in Miles Morales.
You could.
Because I do feel like that's one of the only ways to do it without. I mean, it'll be sad that Peter Parker dies and stuff like that. I don't think they'll ever do that. They won't kill off Peter Parker. But I guess really I'm trying to figure out how do you do it where now you have 2 Spider-Men in New York, right? Because that's the other thing that a lot of people don't realize is that he's still Spider-Man. Like even in the MC or the 616 universe, they call him Spider-Man. They don't call him. God forbid they ever called him the Black Spider. Oh man.
Yeah.
But still, he's called Spider-Man.
There's 2 Spider-Man in the same city. You think one of them would at least move to another city or something, right?
Yeah. Well, I remember way back when they did the Clone Saga, and I thought Scarlet Spider was awesome. The name not exactly the coolest, but the costume I thought looked really cool, and I was always kind of like, well, why wouldn't he just go somewhere else and be Scarlet Spider somewhere else? Right?
Yeah.
It just was one of those it would make sense that he would just go somewhere else to be that type of his version of Spider-Man elsewhere. So again, it's just like that's another thing about reading the most recent Spider-Man run with Nick Spencer, where it's they're in every one of his books now. The Spider-Man run is actually 2 parts, so it's 53 and then 53 LR, and that includes Spider-Gwen Spider-Woman, Miles Morales is Spider-Man, Madam Web, I think they're the Spider Warriors. I don't know what their team name is called, but and they're in every book and they're helping him in every book. And I go like, okay, so New York has 5 Spider people,
Yeah.
right? What do they need Daredevil, Punisher, anyone else for?
Avengers, X-Men, they're all friggin' I mean, like, I get, like, Spider-Man in New York makes the most sense. Most skyscrapers, he could swing more places. But
he has to be in a huge metropolitan city. Absolutely has to be.
He's got to be. So I don't know what that would leave, really, right? I mean, like, LA is all pretty low, so it's going to have to be somewhere like Chicago or something like that.
But right? Regardless, it's the other part too is for the Peter Parker fans that absolutely hate Miles Morales, and there's still quite a bit out there. They're never going to feel like he should be in their movies. And then for the fans of Miles Morales as Spider-Man, you know, like, how do you do the movie? You pretty much have to do it so that each gets equal footing.
Mm-hmm.
Why not just not do that at all and give Miles Morales his own movie franchise?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
But yeah, so if he's in fact signed on for 3 more movies, that puts his total like solo movies up to 6. That's the perfect time for him to age out of the role, you know, and even possibly do a passing of the torch to Miles Morales if need be, or just recast him but have him in 2 separate. I almost feel like they should just do different dimensions just so that they could do this, but it's just for random, like, for people that just watch the movies, they might just go, what the fuck? Like, which New York is this?
100%. Yeah. You know what? Like, Tom Holland signing on for another 6. He's going to be past. He's going to beat Hugh Jackman and Robert Downey Jr. for most times playing a superhero.
If that is in fact the case.
That's crazy if he pulls that off, though. I mean,
yeah.
He's already done 6, so yeah, that'd be 12 movies as playing Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. He's in
not bad for a kid that actually said, like, in an interview, like, they're like, what's your dream role? And he was like, Spider-Man. I'm going to play Spider-Man. You just watch in 10 years.
Kind of beautiful. Hey, bring a tear to the eye.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I just actually started rewatching Into the Spider-Verse again. Such a fucking good movie.
Massive.
It's so good.
Yeah. And I watched James play Miles Morales on his PS5, and it's insane.
See, it has to be.
Oh man, it's gorgeous. New York has snow in it now.
I know. I've been seeing it. Well, I guess they're trying to get around Puddlegate, right?
Yeah, they froze the puddle.
But I purposely, like, normally I watch the Rad Brad do playthroughs, purposely not watching any of it. Although I do get a kick out of people going like, oh, I can't believe it's only a 12-hour game. And it's like, how long did you think it was going to be? This was literally a stopgap release to get us, like, our tongue wet so that when Spider-Man 2 comes out and you get to play as both of them.
And 12 hours is long. Man, the original Uncharted trilogy, I think, were only like 9 or 10 hours each.
I think Uncharted. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, because Uncharted 4 was long.
Uncharted 4 is ridiculous. It's like 25, 30 hours.
Yeah, and I could probably take out a good 5 hours and be okay.
Yeah, same here. There is a lot of filler in that.
Yeah. Okay, I think now we've concluded the Spider-Man rant.
I think it's done.
I think it's done now. But needless to say, we'll see what happens. Doctor Strange 2 will be the first kind of indication of what to expect.
Yeah. So all these little rumors, if we do see that kind of stuff happening in Doctor Strange 2, we can pretty much assume that's going to be the thing with Spider-Man 3.
You know, the other part too is, like, here's the other part that all these idiots that keep talking about all this stuff, like, what happens if the stuff with Tom Holland and Andrew Garfield and Jamie Foxx, what if that is all legit real, but it's only 2 minutes of screen time? Like, remember I said in a previous Camcast where it'd be something like, Peter's looking through one portal and he sees Toby's Peter Parker, and then in another portal you see Andrew Garfield fighting Electro, and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, and that's a possibility. That could be it.
Right? But how many people are going to be angry? You're going to be angry because that's not a proper send-off for any of those characters.
I wouldn't be angry. I'd be happy with
Yeah,
it.
you would. You would go, I didn't get my send-off.
No, I would be happy with it.
Oh, they just looked at each other. That's my impression of you. I thought it was pretty good.
That was really good.
The topper, the best time I ever impersonated you. Do you remember when we were in McDonald's and someone put like a fry in your straw?
Yes.
And I mimicked how you would react. Even your dad was like, "That was you, Ken. Like that was you." That was the best. That was my crowning achievement in mimicry and mockery.
Yellow straw.
It was both in one shot. Why would you put that in my straw, James? Now when I drink this, it's going to taste like French fries. As always, thank you so much for checking us out. We really appreciate you hanging out with us on the lockdown Camcast, COVID Camcast, Zoomcasts, whatever you want to call them. We appreciate everybody sticking around. I mean, we'd be doing this if you guys didn't check us out. This is just fun for us, but we do appreciate everyone who sticks by. You can see us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can hear us on SoundCloud, Apple Podcast, I'm missing one. Google Podcasts. And it's funny, I was thinking Google and I'm like, no, that's not it. But yeah, Google Podcasts, Facebook as well.
Yep.
We're everywhere, especially geekpantsmedia.com.
Especially there. Go check it out.
Especially there. That is the central hub for everything else that comes out of us.
Yes. Yeah. All our videos pop up there if you don't want to go to YouTube land. And then you'll get cool articles by the three of us.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.